What is going on, people from the tube? Welcome back to another Pancho Things. Today we're gonna be making sausage. Let's get started. That's right, today we're gonna be making sausage. Goose, duck, pork sausage. Everything is gonna be happening using the KitchenAid and pretty much everything that we can find at home. So I'm gonna go through the whole process with you guys so you guys can see how I make my own sausage. If you hear me talking really quietly, it's because 3:30 in the morning I just got out of work and I gotta get the process started because we're gonna be getting this sausage fully done in 2 days. Let's go. So here I have all my goose and my dog ready to go. They've been in water, salt water, for about 24 hours. We've been changing the water every 2 hours on the clock just to make sure that we can help as much as possible trying to get rid of the gaminess of wild duck. All this goose and duck that I'm going to be using today is part of what I have left from the harvest last year. So we're going to be using that to make our sausage. So the first part of the process is going to be cutting down my goose and my duck so I can have an idea how much pork fat and pork I'm going to need in order to get the entire mix of meat for my sausage. So me personally, I like to use 30% of the weight of the goose and the duck. If I had 10 pounds of meat in between on my goose and my duck, I will add 3 pounds of pork fat and pork meat. So I'm going to start cutting this into pieces that I can put through the grinder, and also that's going to help me to get maybe possible feathers that might be stuck in there and find any BBs that might be stuck in the breast of the goose and duck. That way I don't ruin my grinder. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using a KitchenAid. So I'm going to be cutting this into small pieces that I can actually fit through the KitchenAid. Just check, make sure that I don't have any BBs. Pretty much now I got all my meat cut up for the goose and the duck. I'm gonna wait so I know exactly how much pork I'm gonna need. So that's 4 pounds. That's almost 5 pounds. Alright, so we're gonna round this up to 5, so we need 1.5 pounds of pork. Alright, so I need 1.5 pounds. The reason why I'm using a pork shoulder is because I want as much fat as possible. So I have skin on top and fat in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut a chunk and then trim the skin and leave the fat on until I get to 1.5 pounds. Weigh this. That is 1 pound. 1/2 pound. Pound and a half. Alright. So this is all skinned. We don't want that in the sausage. So we're gonna do the same process with this. We're gonna cut it into pieces that we can fit through the grinder. We don't want the sausage to dry out. That's why we put in the fat and the pork in there to give it some fat content. Now, imperative is that we need to make sure that that fat is as solid and as cold as possible when it hits the grinder. The grinder is going to create friction, and the friction is going to melt that fat. And I don't want that. I want that fat as solid as possible so it can maintain the shape, and when I smoke it, it doesn't dry my sausage out. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna measure all my spices, and in the process of me measuring the spices, I'm gonna put my meat in the freezer and try to get it as close as frozen as possible without getting it too solid frozen. The first thing that we're gonna be using, I'm gonna be measuring, is gonna be my curing salt. Curing salt number 1. You will find curing salt number 1 and curing salt number 2. When to use each of them? Easy. For anything that is going to be less than 30 days from the moment that you start until the moment that you finish the product, you will use curing salt number 1. If you're going to be making a product that is going to take more than 30 days of curing, you're going to use curing salt number 2. For the particular curing salt, this would be 1 tablespoon per 5 pounds. Since we have 6.5 pounds, I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon and a quarter. This is how curing salt looks. It's pink, not to be confused with Himalayan pink salt. So this is a completely different product. 1 tablespoon and a quarter. And a quarter. On this particular sausage, I'm gonna go really heavy on spices and flavor. I'm gonna go heavy, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna be unbalanced. First thing that I'm gonna start adding here is gonna be paprikas. 1 tablespoon of regular paprika. 1/2 tablespoon of smoked paprika. 1.5 tablespoon of onion powder. Ground red pepper for heat. 1/4 teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon ground coriander. 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. We're gonna do the same with celery seeds. Full tablespoon of garlic powder. And a half. 2 tablespoons barley flakes. 1 full tablespoon of dry chives. 1 teaspoon of sage. 1/2 teaspoon white pepper. 1/4 teaspoon of fennel seeds. 1/4 teaspoon chili powder. 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. That's going to be all my seasonings. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using a KitchenAid. I don't have a industrial grinder or anything for that matter. All I have is a KitchenAid with the attachment for grinding and making sausage. So everything needs to be really cold. We don't want to melt that fat. So what I did is that my grinder pieces are all in the freezer. Super cold. So in that way I can minimize the chances of that fat melting. Tight and secure everything in place. I'm gonna give it a spin. Nice. all the meat. So what we're gonna do now is that I'm gonna put all the seasonings that I just mixed. I'm gonna mix all these together. I'm gonna put some wine, some chicken stock, and we're gonna cool it down. We're gonna pipe it into the casing. All my spices are there. Everything is in there, the wine, the chicken stock, all the spices. And I'm gonna check the consistency. I want something that when you see my hand does not fall. So right consistency. I'm gonna put this in a bowl. I'm gonna cool it down overnight, and I will see you in the morning. I'm gonna start showing you guys how my mix turned out. There it goes. Nice. The whole container of sausage. So I forgot to put yesterday, I had some roasted garlic. Some people used a little bit of sugar in their sausages. Sometimes if they want to have like a little bit more of a sweet touch to it, some people rely on like molasses, brown sugar, stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of sweet sausages, like when they have that really heavy sweet flavor. So what I do is that I roast garlic, and this time around I just found some decent sized garlic, and what I did was like I roasted and then I just jumped in and mixed it with the food. And I forgot, like the camera kind of cut off, and I didn't realize that the camera has cut up and that you guys were not seeing me adding the garlic. So that's what you see there. It's just those little green parts. It's just garlic that is being roasted in the oven, just fully roasted. That's for one side. That's gonna be the sausage. We got about almost 7 pounds of sausage in there. Here are our hog casings. The hog casings, in the way that I do them, is that they come in a bag. I'll show you. They come in a bag fully covered on salt, and these just strains of hog intestines. So what I do is that I wash them off really well with cold water, and this is what you have. It's a whole intestine. So it's a natural casing. So I normally put it about 30-35 minutes in running water, get that salt out. Then I will open the end of the casing. I will open the end of the casing, and I will run water through the inside of the casing several times, cold water, until that is completely, the salt is completely cut out of the casing. And then about 10-15 minutes before I'm gonna stuff my casings, I put cold water, refreshed water, and I put 2 tablespoons of distilled vinegar. What that helps you is to make the casing clear, so when you put your sausage, your meat in there, you can see that it's nice, beautiful color. So what is going to happen is the water on the casing will help lubricate the entire casing. So I'm going to grab a little toothpick. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the toothpick in a second. So what I do is that right now, since we're going to start stuffing, this just got out of the freezer, so it's cold. I'm gonna place my casing in the nozzle. So if you can see, I already tightened up here. At the end, what I'm gonna do is then I'm gonna get there all the way. Alright. And then right where the knot is, we're gonna grab our toothpick. There it is. Pricking it, what it's gonna do is avoid for us to have an air bubble. One super important thing, you see how wet this is. So that's what is gonna be our lubrication. Now, when we start feeding the sausage into the KitchenAid, one thing that needs to happen is that we're gonna put some pressure on the casing. And as the sausage is coming out, we're gonna be releasing it slowly. Now, you don't want the sausage to be extremely firm to the point that it will rupture the casing, but you don't want it soft enough that it's gonna have air pockets everywhere. You want it nice and firm, but pliable. And when you press on it, you have an indentation in there. That's the consistency and that's the right amount of pressure and tightness on the casing with the sausage. So I'm gonna grab some of this mix, put it in there. The idea is that we can try to press as much down and fill up this before we even turn it on, so we can get the air to come out of that little hole that we opened and start filling from the edge, so we don't lose casing and or sausage. So through the air, let the pressure out. Okay, here we go. Right, so I had a blowout, so I had to kind of like reset everything. Alright guys, so my coil is getting in there. There's a couple of spots that I feel that it's cooler than the other one, so I'm just gonna make sure that everything is even. So I'm gonna put extra little coals. Nothing too much, because once again, we don't need a flame, we just need embers. When this third round of coil is completely embered, then we're gonna put wood chips in there, and then we're going to put another layer of coals on top, just so when the wood chips, this is burning approximately about 30 minutes. So that's about the amount of time that you're gonna get smoke out of the wood chips. It's about 30-35 minutes. So once that burns, the bed of coils that is gonna be on top will catch up, will generate heat, and we're ready to put more chips. And we're gonna go over and over and over. These I'm thinking that this is gonna take us about 3 to 5 hours. So, but we're getting there. So I'm gonna wait until these get ember up, and then we are gonna do the first round. The sausages are getting in temperature, and we're almost set up here. Alright, so we're getting there. What I'm gonna do now, you're gonna see there's a little bit of flame still going, but I just put that coil is new, so as soon as that coil gets some 2 embers, we're gonna get rolling. So I'm gonna start putting my stuff so I know exactly where everything needs to be. We don't want the sausages touching each other. We want a space so you can have heat and smoke go through the whole meat. So what is gonna happen now, I'm gonna grab some wood chips and place them. Sorry guys. I'm gonna place a handful of wood chips right there on my coals. Okay, there it goes. And now I'm gonna put some more coal on top. Now we'll close this guy. And we'll check the temps in a second. I'm gonna check my temperatures real quick. There it goes. That's what we're looking for. We got 150 on one end, 250 generalized, but 150 in there. So, alright, so it's been about an hour, so I flipped them over. We're getting some color. We're not adding any more coil, we're only adding wood chips at this point because we got enough heat going on there, so it's just the wood chips, and keeping an eye on the temperature, making sure that it doesn't go above the threshold that we're looking for. So we're gonna temp one of these guys just to see where we are. Let's see where we are. 12. This guy. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. We are about 2 hours in, so as I expected, in between 3 to 5 hours is what it's gonna take us to get that all taken care of. You guys haven't seen my face for a minute. So far we've been able to maintain the temperature about 200 degrees, 220, and the sausages are looking at a 120, 116, 120. We're looking at about 150, 155. That's what I'm looking for, just to get, that's gonna be the temperature when I'm gonna take them out. That is where we're gonna be kind of aiming for. 145 to 155. If we can stay within that range, I think that we're gonna be fine. They're getting a nice color though. They're looking good. The wood is smelling good. So I did apple and mesquite. I did 60% apple, 40% mesquite. I didn't want to have so punchy of mesquite on it. I want a little bit of that sweetness that you get from the apple. So that's gonna balance a little bit of the flavor. So we'll see. I think that we're probably another hour and a half or so away from getting these guys ready, but we're getting there. All right, my last temp, guys. Let's see. It should be there already. So we're pulling these guys out. There it goes. Now we let it sit and cool fully. We'll see what happens. There we go. Now we're gonna let it cool down. That's gonna take probably about an hour or so. Then we're gonna do a test and save what we need to freeze, and the rest is just to be consumed today. Alright, so this cooled down, and I'm gonna cut the first one open. Let's see. But regardless, we gotta be careful when we eat these guys, because there might still be some shot in there. So let's see. I'll just slice right in the middle. Oh yeah, I see some juice in there. Not looking bad. We had a different grinder, then it might have been different. Color got a little drier than I was expecting. It's still juicy, but no. Kaizen has a nice crunch. Not bad. Nice flavor, it's good. Should just got a little earlier. But it's not bad. You wanna try, babe? You wanna try?
Yeah. I'm having flashbacks. No, it's good. Good job.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty edible. It's edible. It's pretty good actually. A little dry though. Should have caught it when the temperature was probably about 10-15 degrees lower, but still not dry. Like there's moisture in there.
Mm-hmm.
But this with maybe a sandwich, pasta, salad,
Himalaya.
maybe like a jambalaya. That'll be good. So there you have it. Pork, goose, dog sausage. Not bad. Working with a KitchenAid. Not the best grinder, but it does the trick. And smoking it on an old broken grill. Not the best either, but it did the trick. So there you have it. Thank you so very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next one. Pancho out. Bye, Mama. I can eat this.